Did you know that since 1948, only one family has ruled North Korea under a firm grip? And that since 2011, the ability of the citizens of North Korea to leave the country has completely deteriorated, and not because the country is getting any better? Continue watching the video to find out about what life in North Korea looks like. For most of the 20th century and the entirety of the 21st century, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or more popularly known as North Korea, has been one of the world's most secretive countries. Its government frowns upon foreigners finding out anything about the country or how it is run. Tourists are closely monitored, and foreigners are completely restricted from accessing certain parts of the country. North Korea shares a hostile border with South Korea. Both of them share a long, unfriendly history. To understand how North Korea is as it is, we must first know where it came from. Korea used to be a single country ruled by Japan, but after the Second World War, when Japan lost and surrendered to the United States, according to agreements during the war, the Soviet Union and United States split Japan's territories. The United States forces took control of South Korea, and Russia took over North Korea. Korea was divided into North and South on September 9, 1948. The Soviet Union ran a communist state, and it was this system they indoctrinated within North Korea. United States was anti-communist, so this meant the policies of both forces were in disagreement, and thus, both sides never saw eye to eye. This disagreement was so intense that by 1950, North Korea and South Korea were in conflict. North Korea invaded South Korea. A war that lasted 3 years saw diplomatic and ideological distrust between both sides deepen. It's a situation so complicated that until today, both countries haven't signed a peace treaty, which means that they are still officially at war with each other. Since 1948, North Korea has been ruled by just 3 men from the same family. The first was Kim Il-sung, who was termed the country's first supreme leader. He ruled the country for 46 years, from 1948 until 1994 when he passed away. His son, Kim Jong-il, took over and held power for 17 years. And his own son, Kim Jong-un, took over power as the new leader in 2011. They have held power under the Workers' Party of Korea, and they have held on to it tightly. It is near impossible to have an idea what's going on in North Korea. But over the years, people have fled from the country and they have carried accounts with them. Also, extensive research by human rights organizations and prominent press outfits have helped piece together a semblance of what life in North Korea might look like. North Korea has roughly 25 million citizens who live under the thumb of the state. It is illegal to travel outside of North Korea unless it is state-sanctioned, and citizens who manage to flee to neighboring countries, such as China, can be returned to North Korea when found out. Those within the country cannot speak about plans to leave from the fear of being reported and sent to labor camps. The state has a sophisticated whistleblowing network. North Korea operates as a vast surveillance state. It has a notorious state security department called the Bowibu as its backbone. Its agents are everywhere and operate with great impunity. There have been cases of torture, summary executions, public executions, rape, and indefinite imprisonment. The North Korea regime operates a neighborhood watch system. Every district in every town or city is broken up into neighborhood groups of 30 or 40 households, each with a leader who is responsible for coordinating grassroots surveillance and encouraging people to tell on themselves. People comply out of fear, overzealousness to please, and sometimes pure animosity. The state's surveillance has only gotten better. In the late 90s and early 2000s, North Korea was hit with a terrible famine that required the country to get aid from the UN. Although it has recovered today, there are still more malnourished people in the country than healthy ones. North Korea's poverty does not stem from a lack of conditions for economic development, but rather governmentally imposed. A good judge of this would be to compare it to its neighbor, South Korea. The country has the same potential as South Korea, which has transformed itself from one of the world's poorest countries to a dynamic economy today. North Korea's exports are $1.74 billion compared to South Korea's $596 billion. In the 2000s, when people fled the country, it was to escape the famine. But from 2011, people have fled out of disillusionment. The state has gotten better in dealing with these escapees. In 2011, before the rise of Kim Jong-un, an average of 2,706 North Koreans fled to South Korea annually. But by 2017, the number had drastically trickled down to 1,127. And by September 2018, the number had dropped even further to 808. The number has continued to reduce since. This is because the North Korean government increased the border patrols, barbed wires at the border, and the CCTVs at the border, making it near impossible for people to escape. According to a human rights advocacy for liberty in North Korea, an estimated 60% of North Korean women refugees in China are trafficked into the sex trade. China's lack of marriageable women, especially in the rural areas of its northeast provinces, creates a demand for North Korean women who are at risk of being forced to work in brothels or online sex chat rooms, or are bought and sold as wives. These women are sold for as little as a few $100s in China. Perhaps the most tragic bit of it all is that these women often know what is happening to them, but they see it as a better option than being sent back to North Korea, where they could be executed for attempting to flee, or put in labor camps for unpaid labor, where they are fed little to nothing and made to work in inhuman conditions. Beyond fear, the state retains the loyalty of its citizens through a rigorous propaganda process. All TVs and radios are tuned to state channels alone, and people caught listening to foreign broadcasts are severely punished. Smartphones are largely inaccessible because they are far too expensive for the average North Korean citizen. This means a majority of the citizens have little idea what the world outside the country looks like. However, there are black markets where citizens can get USBs that have foreign movies, but to be caught with such materials automatically means the person would be jailed. The state controls the distribution of food, electricity, and wealth. The students have ideological education for 90 minutes every day. There was revolutionary history, lessons about King Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un. The students also learn about why North Korea needed nuclear weapons, and why the sacrifices of the citizens were necessary for the safety of the country. There are photos of the supreme leaders everywhere in North Korea, and the citizens are mandated to buy flowers and place underneath the photos and also bow to the photos. The campaign to eulogize the Kim family is one akin to religion. The North Korea government reserves the right to choose a career and religion for its citizens. The family itself has attained a godlike status. From birth, the citizens are taught about the Kim family, taught to see them as gods, that they must be absolutely respected, and their decisions unquestioned. The Kim family uses terror to keep people scared, and there are laws to prevent any form of social gathering, which automatically dissuades any sense of an uprising. The good people of North Korea have endured a lot since the end of the Second World War, and as things stand, they will choiceless endure for some more time. Things do not show any sign of improvement, and all evidence indicates that power will continue in the Kim family. This is a tragedy that has no place in the modern world. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, what do you think about the situation in North Korea? Please let us know in the comment section below.